So for somebody struggling with pornography right now, they want to eliminate it. What's one piece of advice that they could follow this week?
Find the bigger plugs, the bigger connections that are really pushing you to go sin. And whatever it is, turn it away, shut it off, give it away. It may be Instagram, for instance. You're scrolling and you see it's ridiculous what's on Instagram nowadays, but you see a half naked girl or whatever, and then that turns it on. That turns a light bulb in your head, and you're like, okay, maybe I should wander on over. No. Who needs Instagram? The Lord didn't have social media back in the day. There's no social media in the Bible.
You mentioned the Lord comes first, your wife comes second. What does that look like? How do you balance that? Do you struggle with anything?
I would say sometimes I struggle with...
Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Disclaimer. This is an in-person episode, the first in-person episode of Disclaimer. I always say it's a special guest. Today is a very special guest. His name's Stuart Clarke. He's with me. A little background about Stuart. Stuart's a father, or he's about to be a father. Stuart's my coworker. Stuart's a believer in Christ. And Stuart is one of my best friends. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Disclaimer. Today we're going to talk all things faith, spirituality, fatherhood, having a kid, what sin is, and the first step that you can take to come to Jesus. All right, buckle up and enjoy, my friends. Well, there's a first for everything.
There is a first for everything. Let's go. Through my Bible study this morning, I was reading Exodus. There's some good notes in there. One of the podcasts, it's great.
What did they talk about?
If he used Moses, he can use you. But Exodus 4 was just talking about it is easy for us to focus on our weaknesses, but if God asks us to do something, then He will help us get the job done. More as if there's so many situations that we get into where it's I don't know if I can do this. I've never done this before. I've never public speak. I'm so nervous. But then the Lord's what are you talking about? I can help you get through that.
Not giving off you? You chilling?
No.
You warm?
Yeah.
And
I'm a good warm up.
Alright.
You know what I mean? We had some kind of surprise later on, so.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I'm kind of scared for that.
I want to. You know what? I might as well open this up with that. I feel like this isn't really a question, but I've been wrestling with this idea.
Okay. This
idea that of non-believers and bringing them to Christ. I feel like there's a lot of it's tough because obviously you want to bring so many different people to Christ, and you don't want to overstep, right?
Right.
So the reason I say all this is because I've been trying to bring it's been on my heart to bring my mom closer to Christ, and a part of it is I'm still new. I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, we're all trying to figure it out, but I'm still new, trying to figure it all out. And I don't know where to start. So I've been writing a lot, just trying to figure out, trying to just write down my thoughts and trying to figure out what I could do, or if there's anything I could do, how I could encourage her.
Where does she stand right now?
So she's at this weird place where she used to go to church,
Okay.
and then she had this terrible experience, like some people have.
Used to, as in, because I know we talked about this before, about your parents being divorced. Used to when your parents were together, or she's gone to church after?
Way before.
Way
before I
before?
was born.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so over 25 years ago. I don't know the exact timeline.
Okay. Oh, so it's been a long time.
Oh yeah, it's
Okay.
been 30 years.
Okay.
So she used to go to church with her friend religiously all the time, have a relationship with the Lord, which she'd tell me.
Okay.
And then I don't want to get too in depth with it, but there was a bad accident that happened, bad experience,
Past trauma.
Yeah. Resents the church a little bit. Go back to what I was initially saying about encouraging people. So I've been trying to encourage her, but I haven't been trying to do it to the point where I overstep. I push her further away. So, have you heard of the 5 love languages?
heard of them, but I'm gonna sound silly because I don't remember all 5 of them right
Okay, I don't remember all 5 either.
now. Yeah, but yes, I've heard of them.
They're like physical touch or gift giving, whatever they are.
Affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know all the different love languages, but I've been wrestling with this idea of 5 languages of encouragement.
Okay.
So before I tell you what they are, what I've kind of like articulated, I want to know
5 lines of encouragement. You said.
5 languages of encouragement. So like you know how like you know how with the love languages you can.
I see.
If someone speaks, if Hannah's speaking your love language, it's gonna you're gonna feel loved.
Right.
You're not gonna feel not loved. You're gonna feel something. You're gonna feel it. It's the way that your body and your mind and all that. You just how you feel and how you love and how you give. So anyway, the 5 languages of encouragement. I want to tell you them, but I want to ask you before I do that. What sort of ways have people encouraged, like before you came to Christ?
Have encouraged me?
Yeah, like before you came to Christ.
That's a good question.
What forms of encouragement?
So it's funny because my path and my testimony doesn't really involve other people encouraging me. It was more based on a situation that happened that kind of led me to Christ to find out more about Him. And it was a season that I was into. So I know I can't remember how much we got into the conversation when we talked about it. And I don't know how much we both remember what was said, but so when Hannah and I, my wife and I, when we were dating in high school, we had broken up first year into college, April of, I want to say, it was COVID, so April of 2020. So, and when we had broken up, there's that first month of like the sadness. Not so much, I'm not saying I'm sitting around and crying, but it was depressing. Because that was my first love. Hannah was my first love in high school, and it's weird saying that now because we're married. Yeah. And nobody knows about the whole situation after. But anyways, so we had broken up, and then about that first month was just tough. It was sad. It was depressing. I didn't want to really do much. I didn't want to go anywhere, but I was working a lot, and I feel like that was like a toxic, like negative gateway for me to just get my mind off of things. But it was working. And so we were going into the summer because college was getting ready to be over for the second semester, because I was in the spring semester when it happened. Also, we were in COVID. So that spring semester was fully online because they had gone online because of COVID. After the semester was done, and I tell people this when I talk about this story, it was the worst summer of my life. But it was also one of the best summers of my life, because then at the same time, even though I was grieving and depressed and really sad, I was able to open up my Bible that, my mother-in-law now, but Hannah's mom had gifted me my first, I wouldn't say my first Bible, but my first actual Bible that she had given me. It was an application Bible, big one, because it has all the study details in it and stuff, and the descriptions. And so I had opened it up and I had started reading. Well, I can't remember, it's been a while, I don't know what caused me to join a church. And I think it was because at the time churches were closing down. So churches were closing down, they weren't letting anybody in because of COVID and stuff. So I found Elevation at the time because I was listening to their worship a lot. In the car, on the way to work, on the way back, in my room. And so I just started listening to Stephen Furtick, and that's how I got into the Word. That's how I started to build my relationship with God, and it was just, I wouldn't say it was anything serious, it's not what it is now, it was the beginning stages. But to go back on your question, encouragement, my mom, back then, my parents were still divorced. My parents have been divorced since 4th grade. So I was just living with my mom and my sister. and they weren't giving me encouragement to find out who Jesus really was, and so there is, like, to answer your question, nobody was really encouraging me, nobody was pushing me, nobody was drawing me close to Jesus, and it was more of just like it was the Lord. And me and Hannah talk about this now, like 100%, the Lord had broken this up on purpose. Like it's sad to think about it, but it's also awesome because of the place that we're in now. But He had definitely broken this up on purpose, because again, like, we haven't gotten into this, but those 3 years that we were apart, that we didn't see each other or talk to each other at all, like, there was so much building, and finding out first, like, building ourselves up, and then also, like, creating and building our relationship with God and, like, strengthening it. And, like, there's so much that's happened, like, in that 3-year gap, like, so much stuff. It was kind of like it. Because the other question that's been asked too is, like, I was on a mission trip in Florida before, and one night, like, during the day we had gone on the beach and done, we evangelized, but when we came back to the Airbnb, like, we'd sit in a circle and we'd talk, and one of the questions, like, we'd go around and, like, talk about our testimony, but one of the questions was, like, when was that moment where, like, it clicked for you? You know what I mean? Like, when you found Christ, or like that single moment. And I had a similar answer to, like, one of the other women that were there, and it's like, it wasn't like a single moment. Like, it was like one of those things where it's like I started building and, like, climbing as time went on. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's how I am today. Like, it's a never-ending climb. You know what I mean? It's a never-ending search. Like, same thing with, like, the Bible. No matter how many times you read it through, like, front to back. And then I haven't been able to do that yet. But no matter how many times you read it front to back, like, you learn something new every time. Yeah. The book of life is amazing. Yeah. To answer your question, I know it's long, but it's like there hasn't been anybody. It's just more been like not a self-proclaimed, I'm saying that, but, like, the Lord has just kind of guided me. So, and it's kind of nice, because at the same time it's like, I have grown this much, and my mom has seen me, you know what I mean, like, work my way up the ladder.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how she's gotten her path too, little by little. It's taken a while, but
it's so true.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a journey, not a race. I feel like we jumped ahead of ourselves. I feel like I gotta, like, introduce you. Say, like, hey, Stuart came from Michigan, and he came all the way down to New Mexico. I came from Florida and came to New Mexico. Both of us were just essentially, like, trying to find a group of friends, trying to find a group of believers to surround ourselves by. And we got lucky that the Lord put each of us in our lives. And not to jump too far ahead, but yeah, so Stuart is also married to Hannah, which he was just talking about. Hannah's, we'll definitely get into that a little bit in terms of your story and Hannah and all that.
a lot going on.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not the one, I feel like, that should say this, so maybe we'll get into it eventually, but there's just a lot of cool, beautiful things that Stuart brings to the world. And he may be bringing something special soon to the world. But yeah. But yeah, so welcome back. We'll jump back into where we were chatting, but wow.
Yeah, so now that I talked about that, so the languages that you're talking about, is this something that, like, you and the Lord had kind of came up with? Or like, the Lord gave you these languages, or is this something that you found online? Like, I'm curious, like, where this came from.
This is so good. So I've been praying for my mom. She's been on my heart.
Okay.
I want to bring her to Christ. I feel like He wants me to bring her to Christ. There's something on my heart that's like, like, she's just always on my heart. Like, bring me closer. Type thing. So I've been praying on it for probably like a solid month.
Wow.
Like, this might sound like crazy to some people. I've been praying that the Lord shows up in her dreams, and just continues to work through her, type thing. Because I mean, like, obviously, I in an ideal world, I want her to just have a relationship, So I've been praying, all these different crazy things.
That she just have, like, a supernatural encounter.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if the dream is the place where it is. where like it'll happen. But I feel like there's like a way that the Lord can like work through you through that type of thing.
I'll tell you one thing before you continue too. Sorry to interrupt. Like I know one thing definitely helps too is like when she comes, what can I say down here? Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
When she comes down here, I mean, just her being around you and seeing like your ways of living, how you go about your life, how you go about your day, like that matters. Yeah, it definitely rubs off for sure.
And it's crazy because she noticed the difference. She's like, there's just a, you know, and I'm not.
How do you know she knows the difference?
She said something to me.
Oh well, okay.
She's like, you just seem different. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you seem peaceful. That was the word
She said this over dinner, or when you guys
what did she say? I think we were watching a movie.
Okay.
I mean, obviously it's a pretty peaceful time, but like that's. So we were watching King of Kings. You familiar with that? It's like an animated. Okay, so it's an animated.
I've probably seen it, but I haven't heard of it.
Okay.
Like the name, actually, I don't remember it. But yeah.
So it's an animated film that just talks about it goes through Christ's story, and obviously it's made for kids. So anyway, I was like, Mom, you want to watch this movie? And because I was like, Mom, you want to go to church? You want to go, you know? And I was like, I'm not going to force you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was like, you want to watch this movie? She was like, yeah. And she was skeptical at first. So let me take you back. So when I first moved here, she came down and helped me move into this place.
Okay.
And we watched The Forge. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
That's a movie?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, I don't think I've seen that.
So we watched The Forge, and it was just about like this. It was like basically about this kid coming to Christ. Super good movie. Highly recommend it. But so anyway, movies are kind of her thing, is what I'm saying. So I was like, let's watch a movie. We watched King of Kings. So that moment, to go back to your question, after we like, it was, I don't know when it was kind of, I don't think anything overly instant, but it was like while we were watching the movie, we split it up into 2 days, so it was like watch half of it and the other half the next day. While we were watching it, I was like, I just felt something kind of brewing inside of me. I didn't really know what was going on, but I've been praying, like, you know, I want to bring my mom to Christ now. This is kind of like, hopefully, you know, she's asking questions. She's starting to get curious. She's like, oh, I didn't know John the Baptist baptized Jesus. And I was like, I didn't know that either. I think, if I'm being honest. And so anyway, to go back to like the encouragement component of things, I've been trying to figure out how to encourage her. And in that moment, I was like, movies, Mom, that is literally the form of encouragement. That's her encouragement language.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's smart.
oh, there's something to be said about this, you know, different ways of encouragement. It's not just looking at the Bible, isn't it? Does the Bible talk about different ways of encouragement? Obviously not directly, but they do talk about it in like John and Corinthians. But so that's kind of how I began to come to this. And then I just prayed on it. And I don't know if I was at work. At some point, the idea came on me. It was like 5 love languages, 5 encouragement languages. Like, do they mesh? Is it like a puzzle piece? Do the encouragement languages complement the love languages? So then I was getting ahead of myself. I was like, let me rewind. What are these encouragement languages?
Yeah.
So you mentioned your grandma gave you a Bible.
Grandma, not grandma.
Mother-in-law. Mother-in-law. Whoops. Dang. Clearly, I'm not a good listener.
No worries.
That's so funny.
Don't worry, Tracy. We're not. Well, actually, she is a grandma now, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Katie just had a baby, so she's a grandma.
Okay.
So we can call her that.
Alright, we'll call her Grandma Tracy.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah. So anyway, I wanted to ask you, like, was there any sort of like that was kind of like a, you know, like you've heard of gift giving? That was kind of like a
That's
gift
one
giving.
of them. Yep.
But I don't know if that was like what was going on there, but there was like a piece of that there where like you found Christ kind of, I don't want to speak for you, but it kind of sounds like through yourself, through him type of thing.
Yeah. I'd say it was it's hard to describe it because it was like an emotional find, like just knowing that like, hey, like I have this Bible, I need to open it up. I'm in a bad place right now. You know what I mean? I need to rely on the Lord's strength, not mine, to get through this breakup. And I know, like, obviously deep down then, I was thinking, oh yeah, the Lord did this on purpose. In that time and in my headspace, like that's the last of it, you know what I mean? And I was was pretty very surface level Christian at the time. So yeah, there's a lot going through my head, but yeah, it's been a slow journey, just being able to. And real quick, before we bounce back, another part that kind of like kick-started everything. So when I found Elevation, I started watching their sermons every week online, because I couldn't go to church in person. Because I'm an in-person type of person when watching church. You know what I mean? I want to be in the Lord's house, I want to be present. You know, I don't mind watching online, but I want to be present. Worship's different, obviously, when you're in person. But anyways, yeah. So when everything was online, I was watching Elevation, and then I was like, I felt the calling, like the Lord was telling me, like, hey, you need to get out of your comfort zone and you need to find a community group. I had never done a community group, never in my life. And I don't remember at what point this was, sometime during the summer. I don't remember when it was. But I had signed up, yeah, for like a college, kids, some type of Unite group or whatever it was online. And we met every Wednesday. Every Wednesday night at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, something like that, for like an hour. There's a longer story that goes into that, which we probably want to get into. But yeah, I met a lot of great people, and you could say those people encouraged me. There we go. Those people, those college kids that I met through North and South Carolina, because it was a merge, online through those schools, the School of Columbia, University of South Carolina, Columbia. Those kids were great, very well spoken, and yeah, I'd say part of the reason why I'm here doing this. So.
What did they do to encourage you?
Just like doing different things and like pull me out of my comfort zone. Like we would take turns reading scripture. We'd take turns talking about our testimonies, take turns talking about what we thought of the passage. So like our leader, I can't remember his name, it's been so long, but our leader would pick out, like he'd have a study for the night, or like a devo, you know, sure. For the night, or for the week I should say. And we would read over it. Sometimes we'd take turns, or sometimes we would just be quiet and just read it on our own. He'd give us like 2-3 minutes, whatever it was. And then after that, we would kind of dive into like what we thought, what's our thoughts, how we're feeling, who said what, why they said it, how it happened, type of thing. And so like it was, I wasn't much of like the public speaker. I wasn't much of somebody to be outspoken. It's all changed now because of college and stuff, and the Lord for sure. Out of my comfort zone, in my room, door shut, Bible open, computer screen on, and I'm just talking to these guys. And it was awesome. It was really moving.
Would you say that these guys helped build the foundation for you?
I would say so. Yeah, part of it, absolutely. Yeah.
So, to go back to the encouragement line.
Yep.
I wrote it down.
Okay.
I want to read you what I put together. I want to know your thoughts.
Let's hear it.
So, the 5 languages of encouragement.
Okay.
Number 1, affirming your strengths. So,
okay.
Obviously, it's kind of like positive reinforcement. That's a weird way to describe it, but basically, like if if somebody's watching a movie, going back to my mom, the analogy with my mom, or the example of my mom, I was just basically encouraging her, and like she was asking questions, and I was like, I don't know, I didn't know that either, and thanking her for watching the movie with me, thanking her for the time, thanking her for the little things. That might not be the best way to describe it, but basically just encouraging someone through their behavior. So like just acknowledging what they're acknowledging their behavior and just encouraging. So that's number 1. Number 2, listening and asking questions.
That's
So how would I go through all of them and then we'll bounce back? So number 3, role models.
Okay.
Number 4, gentle invitations.
That's a good one too.
Number 5, unconditional acceptance of being available. And then the bonus one,
it's bonus. Number 6
is vulnerability and sharing your testimony. So obviously,
good.
yeah. So that's something that's been on my heart, and I don't know if there's more. There probably are more ways to encourage people, but those are the ways that I've like formulated that, and I was just like, whoa.
Dude, we need like a whiteboard in here. We can like write them down.
Yeah. No, I'll put them on the screen so everybody's got them.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So let's bounce back. So affirming strengths. I think that's super important, because this goes back to the initial question I asked you, kind of like how can you encourage a non-believer? You know,
that's one of those things where it's like, dude, I wish I shouldn't say probably. I definitely don't have the notes for this, but I had taken notes. There was, shout out Pastor Allen, Mount Pleasant. Dude's amazing. The Lord does special things through him. But when we were in Mount Pleasant, when I was still in grad school, Hannah and I were going to this church. It's called Mount Pleasant Community Church. I believe that's the name. Yeah. But anyways, there was a sermon where it literally touched on this topic exactly. It was so moving, so powerful. He had the entire place dead silent. Like, everybody was focused. And I love that type of preaching, when he's like stern and he's preaching straight from the Bible. He's emotional, passionate, and it's just everybody's down and you can tell because the whole room is silent. Like, you'd be able to hear like a piece of my hair falling. But yeah, so he preached a word about this. He had a whole sermon about it, about how we should, as Christians, how we should encourage non-believers to come to Christ, or just like invite them, like different ways to do it, different things that we can do, like we're talking about right now. And I don't quite remember everything that he said, but it's just, there's so many things, and I have done this before. I've done this plenty of times where, like, sometimes we just, as Christians, we have to think before we say some things. We have to read the room, and we have to know who we're talking to. And it's like, as a non-believer, they may know Christ, they may know of Him, they may not even know who He is at all. And so when you're talking to somebody, you have to be very loving. And I know, like, you talk about these 5 different points, and they're all very good. They hit it right on the nail. But there's so many great points. And at the end of the sermon, when he's talking about like how we should bring non-believers to Christ, he had me in tears, because I have it's close to home for me. I have a lot of people, a lot of close friends back at home, a lot of family members back at home that either know Christ and they're just very lukewarm Christians, or they don't know Him at all, and they're living a very sinful life, and it hurts me, because one of the things is, like, I don't want to dive too much into this, but it's like Hannah and I have both been like far away from home for a long period of time.
Brother Bear.
Yeah.
I forgot to hook us up with the mics.
You were talking about this pastor who was talking about the different
ways.
The different forms of encouragement.
Yeah,
right?
Different ways that we can talk to non-believers, and how to bring them in a loving and like peaceful way, how we can bring them to Christ and like get to know Him. But yeah, we were just kind of talking about what he had said. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, at the very end, like Hannah and I, like, I don't know about her, I wasn't looking over, but I was in tears. Like, we had talked about the sermon after. But yeah, it was great. But so it's yeah, like what you're saying is like I said, it's spot on, and like kind of similar to what he said. So I want to hear like what else you have to say about it.
So
like your points.
So let's jump into it, but yeah, I guess we'll jump into that first. So
okay. Is it gonna be weird that the audio is different now than the rest of the video?
No, that's what I was saying. I could do the intro, but I was like, it is what it is. That'll be fine.
Okay.
You live and you learn. So yeah, so obviously affirming strengths, we jumped into that one. Listening and asking questions, I think is very powerful, just because that was obviously you can have more than one encouragement language, I think. And there's probably more than what I listed. These are just, and this isn't ChatGPT, this is like from my heart, what God put on my heart. Fully just what I've been feeling and thinking, so that I can encourage my mom. Let's jump into like role models. Because it sounds
Ooh.
like that's kind of a component for you, right? You know, you had different people around you. And again, role models is kind of a weird way to describe it. This is really just like how my mind could express it in a really concise way. But having role models like the people in your life that brought you to Christ in, you know, in college. I mean, I know it's kind of like, it's not like they brought you to him, but they encourage you. You know, you kind of like were able to open up, maybe get closer to the Lord through them.
Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously the unconditional acceptance was really just like being available, like listening to somebody. That's where I think a lot of these overlap. Like,
Dude, that is so important, though.
yeah, the idea that was like a big one for me. Like one of my best friends, Kenny, who I'm actually going to go visit, he's showing me unconditional love or unconditional acceptance, however you want to frame it. It was always just encouraging. You know, it was just like, and he holding me accountable too. I think there's a component there where, you know, that, you know, yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think a lot of these you know, am able to resonate with, but some of them I resonate with deeper, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, that's really all I had. The 5 encouragement languages. Let me re-say them again. So the 5 languages of encouragement: affirming strengths, listening and asking questions, role models, gentle invitations, unconditional acceptance or being available, and then the bonus is sharing your testimony, being vulnerable. I feel like it's just a solid.
It's tough to pick out like which one is more important than the other because they're all equal.
Yeah.
Like those are 6 very good points. Like they all equally, they're as equally as important to, like, to each other. Like they're all important, very important.
Yeah.
And there's some of them that we just forget about in our everyday lives because, like, we're busy. We work. I mean, like we go through different things in life, and sometimes we just stray away from the most important things, and we can get off track so quickly. And it's like these things that we come back to, like those reminders. Like that list right there is not even just for non-believers and like bringing non-believers to Christ. Like that list can even apply to like when you're married and like in marriage. Like that list, like there's some good points, solid points in there. Like that Hannah and I have like heard of marriage counseling. Like those points are not just for, I mean, it's universal, I would say. So yeah, those are really good points, and I'm glad that you have those. Like that's awesome. I'm glad that you shared.
So you mentioned marriage. Like what would you actually, let me backtrack.
Yeah.
So like, how do you encourage people?
How do I encourage people for non-believers?
Yeah, I guess.
No. That's
How do you
question.
encourage non-believers?
That's a great question. So I'm trying to think, because like most of the time I am around believers. I don't want to say most of the time because that's not true, but you know, there's a certain point in my life where I had kind of like blocked out those people. Well, there was a point in my life where I had to be like, okay, like these people, I need to stop hanging around them. Like I need to stop hanging around with them, stop answering their texts, their calls, start hanging around people that actually are encouraging, like you said, that are faithful believers and that will help me, not hurt me. And so that was obviously a point to where I had to kick those people out of my lives and focus and buckle down. But yeah, now, like through the past couple of years, the few years, it's like those people that I run into, and I can definitely say I'm shameful. Like I should definitely do it more for the people that I should be bringing closer to Christ. It's just like one of those other things. It's like I feel like I've just traveled so much in the past few years. School was a good place to do that at, but like here, the only people that I would really talk to is like the people in the office per se, to have a chance to do that. And it's those little things like us going to church together, like us bringing Caitlin to church, or just those subtle invites of like, hey, would you like to come to church with me on Sunday? You know what I mean? Not anything pressing. If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. But it's also like, it brings back to that point is like those people in the office, they see like the way that we live. They see our ways that we go about our day, like our habits, our hobbies, our activities that we do outside of work. Like they take note of that. They take a mental note. But going back to like what you said, so like at college, when I was in grad school, I would like isolate myself. So the only people that the first year of college, I isolated myself because I was living alone. This was before Hannah and I were married. We were just engaged. So she was still living at home. So yeah, the only people that I hung out with were people in class, which I didn't really see outside of class besides like projects and stuff. And the people that I worked with. And it's sad to say, I definitely should have done a better job. Let me back up. It's one of those things where it's like when you get into an environment, and it's tough because when you work somewhere where there's a lot of non-believers, it's tough because guess what? You have to come to work every day.
Yeah.
You can't just not hang out with them. You're with them every single day. And it's one of those things that's like, okay, you have to be careful with what you say to them because guess what? You're going to see them tomorrow. And it's not a bad thing. It should be considered a good thing because you want to bring, like you want to grow His kingdom. Like you want to have as many believers in heaven as possible. And it's one of those things, I don't want to say like I've been shy to spread the gospel, but it's been like, there's been plenty of opportunities where I don't know if I just shy away from it, but it's just like, I haven't been as bold as I should be. And there was a huge point in my life where, big turning point where I was like so open about it when it was, I want to say junior or senior year, of undergrad at CMU. I went on a mission trip, my first one. And we went down to Florida. It was specifically it was an evangelism mission trip down in Florida at Fort Lauderdale. It's like where everybody's down there on the beach partying. It's a spring break trip. And we were going down there to do the complete opposite of that. We were not drinking. We were not partying. We're not staying up late. We're not on the beach, half naked in these bathing suits and stuff. Screaming this profound, rap music and all this other stuff. And so we had one mission. We were down there to spread the gospel, and we had different ways of doing it. And it was just so cool because, so many people, including myself, are, not scared, but just, not bold enough to, go out there and, openly, put yourself out there and, be like, hey, do you know who Christ is? I would love to, invite you to, church on Sunday, and I would love to invite you over to dinner. I would love to just invite you over like we're doing now for a conversation. This is probably a little bit more advanced, but it's one of those things where it's you just never would think some of the outcomes that happened down in Florida would happen because you put yourself out there. The Lord's going to give you strength to do that. And so when we're on the beach, at first we're in groups. We're in groups just for safety purposes. You know what I mean? These people are drinking. You never know what can happen. So we're sticking in groups, guys and girls mixed in. And we're just going around asking people questions, just asking them about their life, what brings them down here, yada, yada, yada. And then we're asking them icebreakers, do you know who Jesus is? And dude, it's so emotional how many people broke down, talking about their families, their problems, their habits, their bad habits, their toxic ways of living. They don't want it, but they just feel like they have to fit in with others. And I'm kind of rambling right now, but eventually there's a point on the mission trip where we were sent out on our own. So we would pray together and we're Lord, give us the strength, give us courage, give us peace to go out and do this on our own. And some of us have read the entire Bible. Some of us have read, maybe a couple books in the Bible, and some of us haven't even opened up the Bible. Some of us were new on this mission trip, but they were called to get on this trip. And so many people were nervous, and you could just see it on our faces. But all of us were just called, and we just marched out on that beach, dude. And it was the coolest thing. The people that I met, the stories that I heard. I still have notes in my phone about it. But it's one of those things where it's you got to get past the point of dude, we're here for one reason. We're not here to party. We're not here to work a job for the rest of our life. We're not here to, I don't know. There's plenty of things that we can do on this earth, but we're here for one reason. That's we're here to make heaven more crowded. And at the end of the day, I heard this thing and I remind myself of this frequently. It's like no matter what we have in our possession, like it all goes away. No matter how much money we have, no matter what car we have, no matter what house we live in, no matter who we know, what we've done in our life, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of our life, no matter when, it could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be in 30 years, like we lose everything. And then like Pastor Todd was saying at Sagebrush, like, you know, when we die, then we're knocking on the pearly white gates, seeing if we get in or not. And it's one of those things where it's like it comes quick, and people don't realize that, and they just brush it off like it's no big deal. Some people don't believe in it, but that's the thing. It's like, I'm kind of rambling now, but to answer your question, like how do I encourage people? Recently, I would say, like, just from the people that back at home, like it's affected those around me because they've seen like what's been going on in my life, like how. And I don't really use social media, so I can't say like I've used social media as like an outlet to share like the Lord's word. Like, you know, I don't post scriptures on social media. Like, I don't really post on social media at all. I'm not really active, but I just know that like the way like I live, which you know, we're all sinners, and like it can definitely be a lot better. And I'm guilty of that. But just like my living habits, the way I go about my day, like people notice that, and it like encourages people and motivates them to like change their ways of living and that sort of thing, and different ways to look at life, and eventually they start going to church. Yeah, so I'm ashamed to say, like, I don't really have it like any tips of bringing non-believers to Christ, but I need to be better at that. It's a great reminder for sure.
How have you gotten better at it?
Just trusting. I would say trusting the Lord, knowing that like partly it's our job, like that's why he put us here. You know what I mean? It's like, and another thing is like you talk about your mom, and I just touched the mic on accident, but my mom, and I would say it's tougher for family members. It's different for friends because as sad as this is, like friends go, they come and go, you know what I mean? But family members, they seem to like, they should always be there. They should be at least. And so with family members, it's a little more touchy. And it's like, you know, I know the way I'm living, and it's like, sometimes you have the mindset of, it's like, this is a toxic mindset. Like, if you don't like the way I'm living, then so be it. Like, I'm not going to talk to you, but like, I want to live this Christian lifestyle. Like, I'm following the Lord. It doesn't matter like what you think. That's toxic though. Like, you should be encouraging them, to find like fellowship in their community, find people to talk to, get active, you know what I mean? But going back to my mom, it's like one of those things where it's like she's been working on her faith, and it's so good to see, because she's been through a lot, and it's like, it's cool to kind of see her grow, even though like I'm not at home. So it's kind of like us just like talking over the phone, her updating me, that sort of kind of thing. But yeah, and then my dad's just a whole different story. Like, it's tough to, and it's so hard to like do it, you know, like when we're living here and our family members are somewhere else, it's so tough, like long distance. It's way better like if we're able to go home and like sit down and have a conversation. But it's also the tough thing of like my dad, like he's been living in like just like sinful ways for so long, and it's tough to like bring up a conversation to him, because I wouldn't say like sometimes I prepare myself when going over there, but like you get in like this mindset where you're like, okay, I'm going to potentially talk to him about it. And then you get there and it kind of like goes all out the door, because like you walk into this place where it's like you don't feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Not you feel welcome, but it's just like, you just know it's just not it's not a good vibe. Yeah. Like you just know you shouldn't be there. And the enemy like lives in that place. Like it's got him, you know, it's got him at a grip. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling right now, but
no, this is good.
But yeah,
how what helps you encourage your dad in this darkness?
I haven't been. That's the thing. I think he gets a little bit of encouragement when he sees like what I'm doing, and like like he knows all he knows like right now. Like he doesn't see all the behind the scenes stuff, because he just knows me as his son that's gone to college for 6 years, who goes to church on Sundays, who met this amazing girl that I was dating in high school, now I'm married to, who, has an amazing in-law family that I see as a second family. And like, there's a lot of things that have happened in our past that kind of like separate us a little bit. And it stinks because like stuff like that has happened, but it's like, I wish that, we can reconnect and do more stuff together, but I just haven't been able to because I've been up at school for the past 4 years. Now I've been in New Mexico and I only see him every so often. So it's hard to like put on his heart, like, hey, I want to invite you to go to church with me on Sunday. I want you to see like what the Lord is all about, how you can be saved, how you can build this brand new life, even though you're, in your mid 50s. Like, that mindset is just terrible that you have. You know what I mean? But I just haven't had that chance because it's like, I don't want to say that because I could have a chance, obviously, like over the phone, through text, but it's just so much easier in person. So it's tough.
So in person, talking about that, like how do you balance it with work? Does the Bible talk anything about like balancing evangelism or like bringing other people to Christ? It doesn't. It may not talk. Yeah, it may not talk directly about bringing people to Christ at work. But how do you balance that yourself?
Yeah, so that's a good question. That's a great question. I had a Bible study in James a couple months ago, and it just talked about like the workplace. Like, obviously we, like the men in the marriage are here to provide for their families, right? We are here to provide, we're here to work, so we have to work in order to make money. But we are not to idolize money. Money is not to be worshipped in any way. Like, yes, we're going to make money. Some of us may be blessed by the Lord and we may make a lot more than others. But the Lord has taught us, like, that's okay. That will happen, where there's other people that will make money, more money than others, but there's certain ways that you can use that money. Certain ways that you can use it. There's certain ways that you can give. Certain ways that you can encourage others with that money. And so just thinking about work, and another thing too is like, you're not to idolize work either. Some people get into the habits of, they get into like a pattern of like going to work every day, and then they idolize work because some people like idolize work more than, this is kind of like not so much an issue that I've had, but I've seen it happen. Like, I've seen it firsthand, first person, like right in front of me, how work can be like so mentally draining, where like you overwork, especially in the sport industry. Dude, it's bad. Like, grad school is terrible. Like, I'll say that, like, there's not a lot of people that know like how toxic the sport industry can be. You're going to get paid very little and you're going to work a lot of hours. And so that's the thing, is like, I battled with that for so long. And growing up, not so much growing up, but like since like high school, I want to pursue like a career in sports, especially in college. Like, I found out what I really wanted to do. And I was like, dude, I love sports. Like, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, it's bright, it's fun, like it's engaging. Like, who doesn't want to work in sports? You know
It's trendy too. Like,
yes. And eventually I found out like the true meaning of like finding a career that it's not so much that fits you, but just like fits your family, benefits you like mentally and spiritually. And I've just, since like I had this thought in my mind, and like I talked to you about my career change, I never thought I would leave sport. But now, like, I had, after that study in James, like, the Lord made me realize that like I was chasing all the wrong things. Like, I was chasing a career in sport because I wanted to work in golf high up somewhere. And there was a point where like I wasn't chasing money. I never really was. I grew up, I wouldn't say I grew up poor. Like, that's not true. But like after the divorce, like I definitely didn't grow up like average or above average. I was definitely below average. And so like growing up, I didn't have a lot of things after the divorce. And so like I was self-taught in a lot of things. Like, my dad did not teach me a lot of things. My mom was kind of like the sole provider, and it was just like growing up, like I had to teach myself a lot of things. I had to find out like who I was, what I was chasing, I set my goals for myself, and I had goals. I'd write in my phone goals every year that I wanted to reach. And so, some of them I would reach and some of them I wouldn't. But I was, with work, to get back to the topic, I was chasing the wrong thing. So I soon found out, like, I was like, later down the road, like, this is going to affect like my family significantly, in my relationship with my wife. Like the Lord is first, your wife is second, and your family's third by like your kids. So when you get married, like everything else kind of gets pushed to the side. Like your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, like they have no entitlement to you anymore. You are to pursue the Lord first, and your wife comes second. And so when I'm thinking about this, like when I'm thinking about work, like this is an internship. You know what I mean? Not to talk about work, but like we may miss like a few days at a time. And I know it makes it worse that Hannah's pregnant right now. So like leaving her for 3 days at a time, like it's emotional, and it takes like this mental toll on you where it's like you could be helping her. So I try to set her up in the best way possible when I leave. But I noticed this is an internship. And so I'm like, dude, later on when I work my way up, like it's going to be worse. Like I'm going to be constantly traveling. I'm going to be away from her, not spending time with her. And I just didn't like it. And Hannah and I had prayed about this over and over and over again. And eventually, the Lord put on my heart to make this career change. And he's like, this is going to be way better for you. He's like, I know that you may not have wanted to like move home right away. And I'm not saying I didn't want to do that, because like the community back at home is so great. It's so grand. It's awesome. But you can find that community anywhere. And the fellowship is great. And I just have a bunch of friends back at home. And I was just like, dude, the Lord is calling me to go back home and to make something happen. And so, yeah, like this new career change that's happening, I don't want to talk too much about it because I haven't really announced anything about it to too many people.
That's
but
fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We're moving back home, back to Michigan, I should say. And this career change is going to benefit us a lot better, hopefully, in the long run. And it's not about the money. It's not about where you work. It's not about the money. It's about those people that you have around you, and those friendships that you can build within Christ. And yeah, there's a cool calling back at home. And so I'm excited to be back at home. But yeah, I just kind of rambled there again. But
No, dude, you're good.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed the rambles. Like, it's like really good info. So, have you ever struggled with idolatry? You mentioned that.
with idols, you're saying?
Yeah.
Not so much, dude. It's weird. Like when you talked about idols, like obviously the Lord is my number one. But like I don't, dude. This is like depressing to say. It's sad, but like I don't really have like any idols in my life growing up. I've had people that have helped me along the way, for sure. But I don't know if I would call them idols. You know what I mean? Idols is somebody that's bigger.
Yeah.
Influencer. And I'm sure there is. I've had past bosses that have been amazing. I've had past bosses that have been complete jerks, that are really toxic and they just don't want to understand, which is fine. You're gonna have some of those people, but models wise, like it just hasn't been there. Like my friend group in high school was terrible, so I kind of like build myself up from that. But I would say one thing though, dude, I had an amazing group of guys that I met through a church up at school. Not the one that we talked about earlier, but a different one, his house. We would hang out all the time. We had men's group, and dude, they built part of the foundation that I'm on today. And they're part of the reason of why, like where my faith is at and why Hannah and I got back together. So it's like weird. This group of guys was just, and I still talk to them every now and then, very briefly, but they're amazing. And it's one of those things where it's like, dude, you find that community, like it's a big life changer. So yeah.
Community is like the foundation of humanity, right? Like
Yep.
it's really what we're built on. You know,
Yep.
and that's what the Bible talks about all the time. So you mentioned surrender earlier.
Mm-hmm.
How do you surrender?
What part did I mention? I'm trying to remember. Remind me again.
You mentioned like, oh, I gotta surrender. The career change. How do you surrender? What do you do to surrender? What does the process look like?
That was the thing that was tough for me, because it's one of those things where it's like, me and Hannah talked about this. So like I feel like I've been studying sport and like been around sport and like the sport of golf and other sports too. I worked in all sports in grad school, but that's what my degree's in. And it's like you do all these different things and you think this is your calling, and you have a master's degree in sport administration and you do all these different things in sport. You meet these amazing people, and then all of a sudden like the Lord changes your mind and you're like, okay, but I have this new calling, but Lord, like, does this mean that I went to school and it just all goes down the drain? And like people, like my parents, like my dad was pretty upset when I like told him, and like he's like surface level, he's like, bless his heart, but he's thinking like, oh, this kid, like my son's throwing away all of his college is going down the drain. And I'm thinking like, dude, like no, like all the skills and the attributes and like the things that I learned in grad school, dude, you could not get anywhere else. Like amazing. And that can be applied to anything. It's not just working in sport. So he thinks like this career change, like the worst decision I've ever made in my life, which doesn't bother me. But
Really?
yeah, it doesn't bother me at all because I know it's the right thing and it's the Lord's calling. But how did I surrender? So like I said, that passage of the Bible study that I was reading in James, like he just pushed me to really think about it, and I was praying about it too. I'm like, Lord, should I really be chasing, this career in sport?